The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
TBS, America's #1 independent television network, presents the following sports exclusive.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
and this is Andy, and you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Welcome to Bass number 549 with just half the crew here tonight. No Zach, and Mike's on his way, but Andy's here.
Yeah, it's going to be a cozy little 1v1 here for a little while.
Right.
Get yourself a nice cup of hot tea or something, and just listen to the dulcet tones of Greg and myself. Dulcet Towns is probably a minor league baseball team or something.
Or a band somewhere, like an indie band. They'd be fucking awful, but there's
yeah, so it's just us two tonight. We got a little bit to talk about. I mean, I'd like to get Mike in here for some of the hockey conversation because
sure
affects both of I mean, my team has been out of it for a few weeks, and your team, I guess. Did you swear fealty to the Blues officially?
No. I'm a Blue Jackets. I actually was a Rangers fan for years, and then the Blue Jackets became. I was like, I've got to be with my hometown team. I mean, I still like the Rangers, but I'm a Blue Jackets guy, so my team's out of it for the foreseeable future. At this point, with I've seen articles pop up on NHL.com and other places where the players are saying like no one wants to play here, and I thought, well, this is bad that no one wants to be there. I get it, but yeah, so I'm a Blue Jackets guy.
Okay.
Oh, happy Victoria Day from the Canadian audience. All right, Chaos Blast, explain to us what that is.
Victoria Day. Let's see.
I'm not sure exactly, but happy Victoria Day for whatever the fuck it means.
Let's see. The holiday began as a celebration to honor Queen Victoria, who ruled Britain and Ireland for most of the 19th century. It's been observed since 1845 and has been a federal holiday in Canada since 1901, the year of her death. So it's basically just it's the last Monday preceding May 25th. So that's easy to remember, I guess.
All right, let me ask him this. Did you get all your happy Victoria Day shopping done in time? Or are you still kind of running around?
Do you do people put up like a wax sculpture of dead Queen Victoria or something? Just put her in the corner.
Like Cocaine Bear, sort of like the same idea.
Just a crappy paper mache Queen Victoria just in the corner of the living room, just scaring children.
We're really lucky Mike's not here. He'd be giving us hell for making fun of this. I know
he'll probably give us a nice rundown of how he observes it. I mean, I imagine it's like a lot of American federal holidays to where it's like Chaos Blast, maybe you can answer this. Do you guys work on Victoria Day typically? We'll await your response. We'll hang up and listen.
We'll hang up and listen. So
yeah, just dead silence, waiting for a text response.
Yeah.
You can also, if you want to be a part of the show, of course, you can always go to. Is the Discord linked in the Twitter feed or on the Twitter
I
bio?
Think it is somewhere. Not on the bio, no, but I linked it months ago, so we might want to do that one again. We did. It's what's it called? Basically a Discord. So
yeah, basically Discord. Yeah.
Today is a holiday in Canada.
All right, we established that. Right.
We established that, dude. Catch up here.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll let him play it out. But so let's see. The main things that I had for today were it was regarding the NHL playoffs. Of course, we have the main thing I just want to talk about was the Jets and the Oilers. Of course, we need to talk about that. We had a kind of an interesting conversation on our text feed about how boring the no-hitter has become, and it's just kind of an everyday thing now.
And entirely too common. Just to let everyone know, there have been 6 no-hitters in baseball already this season. It's May 24th today. And the record for a season, mind you, from April through October is 7. And we've already hit 6, and we're not even at Memorial Day yet. So that's a problem.
We had in this, a few years ago, I feel like maybe 5-6 years ago, we had in the early part of the season, I think 3 perfect games. It was a really weird Maybe that was longer ago than I'm remembering, but this year especially, I mean, because there's been a few teams that have been no hit multiple times.
The Indians have been no hit twice now already. I don't know if that's ever happened to them in an entire season before. And I know they're not great, but they're not so bad that they should be no hit twice by the middle of May or last week of May. That's just ridiculous. It's out of the, it's just out. It's something's got to be done. What I'm trying to say.
Yeah, there's the game is taking longer than ever, because I know that's a big deal that baseball is constantly trying to reduce the length of the game, but it's actually completely backfired to where games are lasting. Yeah, they're at a record pace, 3 hours and 7 minutes average, I think.
Yeah, and the weird thing too, and strikeouts are on a record pace again after breaking the record last year. So it's come down to, and Don Mattingly, I think it was yesterday or the day before, in a post-game press conference said, look, analytics have made this game unwatchable, but here's the question. To anybody that wants to answer it, okay, maybe that is the case. Maybe analytics have made baseball unwatchable. How do you get rid of them? I don't know that you can. So you got to find a way around it. And I think Andy and I talked about this offline on the text chat, that maybe the best move is to back the mound up a couple feet. And because the biggest issue that I've seen and the research I've done on it is that pitchers are throwing so hard now that it's taking away a lot of the reaction time hitters have to do anything but basically try to swing and hit a home run. And that's what it's really boiled down to. And you've got the launch angle and the velocity and all that other nonsense. And here we are. So I don't know how you fix it. Maybe move the mound back a couple feet would be my suggestion.
I think there's also what they may do, a simple thing. And again, we kind of discussed a little bit about waiting to see, because you mentioned minor league teams or certain like sub tiers of the majors are doing testing of different things with the mound. But the one thing they need to do, I think, is just the substances. I think it's been kind of they don't even care so much. Like if a pitcher clearly has something on their hats or under the brim or on their wrists, I think that's been really overlooked. And I think that it's sort of an unspoken disagreement to where it's just something, it's almost like a pine tar kind of thing, to where they're just getting a little bit of tack, increasing the rotation. Yep. I'm no savant of what's going on with the ins and outs of the million statistics of baseball, but that is apparently creating a very unfair advantage. And I guess defenses, as far as like defensive positioning with the shift and everything, that's been kind of killer. But the other thing I read about, and I'm still exploring, and maybe somebody can illuminate me a little bit more, is this thing called 3 true outcomes. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
Essentially, 3 true outcomes is a home run, a walk, or a strikeout. And that's essentially what players, the approach to the plate that players have taken, because essentially pitchers are so dominant now that they're swinging for the fences at all times, because that's the only way they're assured runs, is not necessarily to create run scoring opportunities through singles and doubles and so forth and bunts, but to just smash the shit out of the ball or swing and miss 3 times.
If you look at it, really, like I would love to see more base hits, more doubles, more triples and all that. But the reality is very simple. 2 walks and a home run will get you 3 runs just like that. Whereas to score 3 runs with base hits and doubles is going to take a lot more than that. And maybe you don't have the guys in your lineup capable of hitting like that.
Yeah.
And everybody argues the shift. They'll just get rid of it. Well, my argument is like, let them play where they want and make the hitters learn how to hit again. I think a guy that could go up against, say, the shift to the right side when it's a left-handed batter, and there's like no one between basically second and third base, any guy that could like just hit a ground ball that direction is going to put 40 points on his batting average, but they don't try because, like you said, they're down to 3 true outcomes. And that's one of the big issues facing baseball. But I go back to the same question. If that's the problem, and I think that's certainly part of it, what do you do to get rid of it? How do you change that? How do you make a guy go, no, we don't want you to hit 240 with 50 home runs. We want you to hit 320 with 18 home runs. I mean, how do you change that mindset? I don't know how you do it. So
it all takes time and lots of, people, the players coming up now in the minors that will be stars in 4 or 5 years, they may be being taught a completely different approach to the current pitchers, and then by that time we might be talking about the offenses being too powerful and too many big hits and home runs and pitchers needing assistance. So
like we did in the steroid era, which wasn't that long ago, where a pitcher with an ERA of like 4.1 was considered really good.
Yeah.
because the hitters were because with the steroids. You made a suggestion. You said just make steroids legal. I said only for position players though. We got to even this out somehow.
That'd be pretty awesome if like just a bunch of big, swollen, no-necked men just going up against these eensy pitchers. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. But
what the pitchers do have an extreme advantage right now because, like you said, they're using substances to get more rotation on the ball. There's a whole, if you want to look it up on YouTube, there's all sorts of great videos out there that really go in depth on this stuff. If you really want to go down the rabbit hole and see, I don't know if you'd call it a problem with baseball, but why baseball's the way it is today. It's pretty easy to see why. It's the 3 true outcome thing. It's pitchers. And there's a guy, he's a coach, not a coach, but like a, I don't even know what the word is for him, like an advisor or whatever that has a setup. I think it's in Washington State. But he's got pitchers coming there in the offseason, adding 3, 4, and 5 miles an hour to their fastball. Now, if you're a guy that's throwing like 94 and you can put 5 miles an hour on that bitch, that's millions of dollars that you've just earned right then and there. So it's a whole thing. But I think moving the mound back is one approach to solve part of it. At least make hitters able to catch up with the ball again. Might be a good start. We'll see. I wish I could find that league that's doing it because I know there's one league. It's a low minor league. I think it might be one of those college/minor league leagues that's moving the mound back, I think, a foot this season. There's a guy on YouTube that did a really great video where he explained the differences of moving the mound back. Like if you did it at 2 feet, a 100-mile-an-hour fastball becomes like a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, which clearly gives the hitters a little bit better chance at hitting it. And it was like I said, it's a whole process, but I really do think that something needs to be done because it's like watching a fucking spreadsheet play out in real life right now, and that's not a whole lot of fun. You still get a good game here and there because not every pitcher is this good, but when you got like a Jacob deGrom or Corey Kluber or who are some of the other great pitchers, but you get those guys on the mound, forget it. Like, yeah,
there's a lot of it's hard because in some ways you need more analytical baseball, both like by design and also against everything. Or it's like you want to keep baseball in some regards a child game, like hit it where they ain't, that kind of thing. You don't want to overcomplicate it. At the same time, in the major leagues, like these guys are so mixed in all aspects of their craft that play so many games, you have so much tape. Multiple coaches and consultants are looking to, like you said, just incrementally, microscopically improve one little thing to get your game to the next level. And that's always how it's been, and that's how it will always be. But ultimately, I think baseball would rather have games end 9-7 than 1.
Right. Yeah.
And I think I just want the game to go faster, but I need to
Wow, hold on a minute. Your internet's like freaking out here. Hold on a second.
Okay.
All right. I don't know what the hell that was all about.
You hear me all right?
Yeah, we're on the Ethernet and hardwired the whole bit, and it's still I got to be honest. I think my old iMac's about had it. I might have to switch over to the laptop one of these days. But yeah, you're right, and I think the difference with baseball, like when the NFL sees a problem, or even the NHL. I mean, we saw it with it was a few years ago when it was like the whole thing with like we need more goal scoring and this and that. And they kind of made changes to try to improve things. Baseball is all about like, no, we don't change anything. We're gonna it'll work itself out, and it's not working itself out. It's becoming this. I put it this way to make a long story short. This game would be a really tough sell to a 12-year-old right now. Why would any kid 12 years old sit down and watch this for 3.5 hours? I can't think of a good reason, unless they just really, really dig baseball. But I don't know that with all the different distractions they have these days, I don't know why that would be. So that's really what it boils down to.
I mean, ultimately, we're all better served to just kind of, as long baseball must continue to exist and evolve and change, and we'll just kind of, watch on from the side, and our interest will return to it as it improves. But who knows? Maybe this season will end up being a lot more fun towards the end once we get into the. And it's nice to see fans are back in a lot of places too.
Oh my God, that's been a huge difference.
Like we were talking before the show started. We'll kind of blend in a little other conversation here, but you mentioned the crowds for some of the Canadian hockey teams in the playoffs. which are vacant. There's no fans in any of those games.
Right.
Whereas a lot of attendance in other American arenas is finally starting to open back up. It's one of those things to where it feels welcomely normal, but at the same time, it's like, thank God, people need to be in attendance for this stuff.
Yeah, I'm happy. I would love to see full crowds, but if we're not there yet, we're not there yet. And it's just wonderful to see a crowd at any sporting event right now. And some places are being a little more liberal about it than others. You know, you've got like your Texases and your I don't know if anybody else is doing full capacity yet or not, but then you've got places, you know, that are not, still keeping it pretty limited. But whatever the case is, even to see like 5,000 fans at a baseball game as opposed to empty stadiums that we saw last year is just, it's a blessing to me. It just, like I was telling you though, I tuned into the Edmonton Winnipeg game yesterday, and it threw me because it's like, oh, that's right, they're not allowing fans up there for this. Right. And it was all like white towels because of the Winnipeg, you know, whiteout thing, which looked cool, but they had the pumped in crowd noise and all that. I'm like, man, this is Stanley Cup hockey. We got to have people for this. And I get it. Canada's going through a rough stretch right now, but it was really a striking difference between watching like a Canadian game versus an American game in that respect. It was weird.
Yeah, they're
right back to last year again. I'm like, I don't ever want to go back to this again. No,
right. No. It's like we served our time. We don't want to have to deal with this shit again. I mean, obviously, there's still some places very much a pandemic still very active and all that, but you know, it's welcome. I am very, very pleased to see a lot of the fans return. I mean, baseball, especially because baseball is already a slow enough game, but you know, like when it was a few weeks ago, we mentioned this, but there was the guy making the blowjob face and during the baseball game behind the home plate, like that guy, that shit happening, and like streakers running on the field and just like all the random shit happening. That's like that you can always, that's unpredictably predictable to occur at gatherings of people at sports events where they're serving alcohol. Like that to me is a part of sports that needs to be there, that like is absolutely mandatory. And we always need to prioritize the health of the greater whole. But at the same time, I'm really happy that we can get this weird shit happening again. Get these people in there, get them good and drunk, and let nature heal. You know,
I can't wait for my first person to fall through a table in Buffalo this fall. I just can't wait to see it. It's the dumbest fucking thing there is, and I can't wait for it. It'll just be so nice to turn the idiots loose again. Basically, let them go out and entertain them.
Open the chimpanzee cage and just release them, you know.
Let them loose.
God help us, just go stab one another in the parking lot. You have our blessing.
That's right. As long as you get it on video, we're cool with it. Just do your thing.
World Star video of some Raiders fan baptizing the new parking lots in their stadium with this pile of blood, stabbing some.
Right. Exactly.
I wonder, actually, I haven't followed up because they were, there's obviously, there weren't fans in Vegas. Were there fans at all?
No, Vegas and the Rams and Chargers, those new stadiums, they've never played a game with like fans in front of them.
Was there any fan attendance last year? I'm trying to remember if there was at all.
Yeah, we had
the Super Bowl. Yeah,
Super Bowl, but like regular season, like I know that a lot of teams, because we were talking about it, we would look at the crowd and go, man, that looks like a whole lot more than 10% to me.
Oh, right. That's right, because the Chiefs did it, and they're booing the Black Lives Matter. It's just like, wow.
Right. And it was like, okay, wait a minute. You're like saying that's 10% attendance. That looks like 50 to me.
Right.
And I remember watching a Packers game going, there is no way there's only like 8,000 people in that stadium. Yeah. And the Browns a couple times, I was like, man, there's way more in there than they're saying right now. Cowboys. Well, I think the Cowboys were going at like 50% pretty much full bore all the way. But yeah, I think I know that Vegas and LA had none throughout the whole season. Maybe Philly, I think. It was an AstroTurf team. Oh shit, who was it? One of the Eastern teams. Like maybe the Jets and Giants, like no fans at all. I know that was because that was a big deal when Cuomo finally said, okay, fans can go to the Bills playoff game. So that they didn't have fans all season. There was a few, but a lot of places were letting 10, 15% capacity, and we'll see where it goes this year. It might be a lot more. I don't know.
I would be very surprised if the NFL had many restrictions. If anything, though, like the lowest it would be, you'd think would be like 50%, but even that.
Well, it's like we said last year, they were going to go, fuck you, we're doing this anyway. And that's exactly what they did, basically.
Yeah. So they're posturing a little towards that right now. Speaking of which, I was watching, you ever watch anything by Urinating Tree?
Oh yeah.
He put out, he's had a really interesting couple of videos, kind of a, I don't know what you call it, but kind of video essays about the Houston and Tennessee Oilers.
Yeah, I watched that yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, the one on the Tennessee Oilers situation was news to me. I knew that they were in Tennessee briefly. I didn't know the history of it. The Oilers were just before my time as a football fan. But I just thought it was hilarious how they were trying to get people in Memphis to support a Nashville team while they were still getting set. And people in Memphis were just like, fuck you. Because the only reason they were there in the first place was because Nashville, the Vanderbilt Stadium, didn't allow alcohol sales or have luxury boxes. Yep. And what's the guy's name that owned the Oilers?
Bud Adams.
Adams, that's right. Yeah. So he made a lot of friends that year in Memphis. It's weird watching that stuff, not only for the uniforms, just to see how, like, there was a really good clip that I think the Minnesota Vikings tweeted out, which you may have seen. It was all of Randy Moss's 40+ yard touchdown catches in his career. It was like it was a 10-minute long video because there's so fucking many of them. Oh, but that's not what I want to mention. It was a highlight put together of all the times that Jerry Rice faced off against Deion Sanders.
I did see that one. I saw that one.
Yeah, that was really cool. I mean, I had forgotten that Deion Sanders wore huge shoulder pads.
Yeah,
they were big, and I mean, it was kind of cool watching him and Jerry Rice duke it out. I mean, they seemed very respectful of one another as well.
Look at those two guys. I mean, those are two of the best ever played positions. I think Jerry Rice. I don't know. You could say Randy Moss, but man, Jerry Rice was really, really, really good. I think probably the best ever. Moss is right up there with him, but man, and Dion, great cornerback. So yeah, it was fun to watch that.
And just I don't know, man. There's something about that time in sports where it was just this golden hour kind of thing, to where we were right when broadcasting TV was kind of at a peak. Cable TV was at its peak. Uniforms were in a really good spot for the most part. There was a really good TV broadcasting as far as for the NFL. Guys could concuss and kill one another without consequence. From guys could be just doped and drugged to shit with impunity. And some guy could knock somebody's head off and he would be paralyzed from the neck down, and they would put it on like a Football Follies videotape. So I mean, it was just this weird little pocket of media and sport intertwining to make this great time that can never be recreated ever. Like, it would take a complete downfall of society and civilization in it to be rebuilt for that to happen again.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. I mean, that probably seems funny to people, but that's totally true. It was, you're right. It was like the golden time. It was perfect for a amount of time there where it was like everything that you would want. And we joke about the concussions and stuff, but the truth of the matter is, when safety wasn't as much of an issue, the game was probably a little bit better. I mean, we don't want to admit that, but it's the truth. There's Mike. But hello, Michael.
My apologies. The pharmacy was very busy.
But you've gotten treated for that rash and you're good to go, right?
Yes. Okay, no one's going to keep me down. So.
While we're talking, Mike, Zach's not going to be here tonight, folks. Did I mention that already?
I just got here, so I don't know what you've mentioned.
Andy, did we bring that up? I think we just blew right past it.
I think we totally blew right past that. We're not going to have Zach this week. He's listening at home. Hi, Zach.
He's working on high school playoffs and stuff in California. So anyway.
Hey, Zach.
But no, Mike, we've been talking about a lot of stuff, but we were just on the golden age of the NFL. When you were
so that would have been 2002 to what, 2006?
I don't know.
I would say more of like 1988 to 2002, probably.
Safety wasn't really an issue.
Oh no. I think that's actually a good point, because you could make the argument that, like, and I've said this before on the show before, that when I was in high school from 2002 to 2006, right? And I remember when I was in high school, like the school year kind of started, coinciding with football. And I remember being like, when I was a teenager, being very, very excited for the NFL. Like, it's like, okay, Sundays, get up, you watch, the pregame, your pregame show of choice. And then you just spend all day watching football. And then Monday comes around, and Monday Night Football is like the big blow off to this, 2-day kind of extravaganza. And you watch highlights before Monday Night Football of all the games you already saw. And it's just, but it was like an event, right? Like Sunday and Monday. And not to give undue importance to the league back when I was in my formative years, because people tend to do that, but it is sort of like, in my mind, at least from my perspective, the NFL was kind of at like the peak of its popularity. Kind of, they played games 2 days a week. Everybody loved it. Everybody looked forward to. Hell, people looked forward to the pregame and the highlight shows, much less the actual games.
Yeah, I agree.
It was just enough, It was
exactly. It was just enough. And then the NFL said, "Well, people like this. What if we just did more?" And it's like, no, you're ruining it.
More is always better.
And some of that was kind of like, a lot of the things now have felt inevitable. Like, to me, the closest comparison I can think of is like probably like the 60s and cigarette companies. Like, they had to have been just rolling in it, and like every movie star was pounding cigarettes. Like, people pound cigarettes in the office, at restaurants, and in their places of business and in their home.
Those commercials are hilarious. It's like, doctors recommend Marlboro.
You got 5 doctors. The other one's like, you're a fucking idiot for smoking, but do what you're going to do.
You got Fred and Barney smoking cigarettes behind their cave, just like, wow, Wilma's a dumb bitch, ain't she, Barn? You go, oh yeah, Fred, light up here. Oh shit, yeah. And it just money's just pouring in.
Can we get an Andy helmed like redub of the Flintstones, because that kind of sounds
pretty good, right?
Yeah.
It's just
but I remember for years. I think that like in NASCAR, even when they outlawed advertising cigarettes on TV, I think you were still allowed to do it in print and for sponsorship and stuff. But if you remember, you guys probably know, but NASCAR was called the Winston. I remember it was the Winston Cup, because my dad smoked cigarettes through most of my childhood, and his brand was Winston. Well, that's the thing. I mean, it was so ingrained in that brand. I had it. I went one day. I'm like, oh, they're talking about the cigarettes. I thought it was like like a
Stanley Cup or something,
like the haughty name for it, like the Winston Cup. Like, look at us, a bunch of rednecks.
Archibald Winston donated this trophy.
Former plantation owner Archibald Winston. Yeah, it did, and I'm like, oh, that's a cigarette.
A future glorious tournament of victory contested Archibald Winston.
Right, there you go.
But the thing about it was, like, I knew it was Winston cigarettes, again, probably because my dad smoked Winston cigarettes, but but like I was, say for some years in university where I started smoking mostly as a stress relief thing. I've been very anti-smoking. These days I won't touch the damn things. And back as a kid, I didn't like it either. But I remember being very disappointed when NASCAR switched to the Nextel Cup.
Yeah. Because
it's like, I don't know, not to stereotype NASCAR, but a cigarette company sponsoring them kind of seemed like,
well, you know what else?
Just right.
But to be fair, I remember like Marlboro was a huge sponsor in F1 and IndyCar forever.
I'm a huge fan of 1970s and 1980s European racing history, like the cars from back then, the drivers from back then. I think it's just like a fascinating period of time. And for my money, the best racing livery ever designed were the Marlboro liveries.
They were sharp. I mean, that's the thing about it. They looked cool, whether you like the product or not.
No. It's I feel like two ways about it, because on like one hand, it's like, yes, we should not be advertising cigarettes, in this way. On the other hand, I'm like, but like the cars looked really cool.
Yeah, exactly. and the fire suits and all that. I was like, shit, that's a good color combo, man. That black, white, and red.
And unfortunately, you can't like do that without the cigarette branding, because even those colors and those shapes are trademarked by Marlboro.
And we can move on from the cigarette thing. I just want to bring up one more point. But at Old Cleveland Stadium, when you walked in, the first thing you noticed was the big Marlboro ad on the center field scoreboard.
So, question: what cigarette sponsor of choice? Is basically a sports show.
I think we got to go with Marlboro, right? That's where the money is, right? I mean,
I need to like. Is like Lucky Strike still a thing? Are they still?
That's more our speed. Lucky Strike.
Lucky Strike. 90% old newspapers, 10% tobacco.
Yeah, right. What was it on Mad Men? They're toasted. Oh, well, that's all the difference.
Flavor country.
It's like legitimately disappointing. Like if it's legitimately disappointing in Marvel, both Marvel Comics and the MCU, that like Captain America doesn't smoke Lucky Strike cigarettes. Like you think about it, the dude is straight out of like the 1940s, and like he should have a few retrograde opinions, right? Like
he should be a chain smoking guy. Come on.
Yeah, like Captain America. You have like, I don't know. You have like Tony Stark or Bruce Banner go up. Cap. In the decades since you were frozen, they've determined that cigarettes cause cancer. You might want to stop that. And he goes, nah, that's just for sissies. And he just keeps puffing away.
my doctor recommended Lucky Strikes. So far.
It's kind of weird. I was watching. I don't know if either of you, I guess, read or have read. It's Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns comic.
Oh yeah.
I have not. No,
I have. Yes.
Regardless, it was made into a cartoon adaptation for adults a couple of years ago. And I just happened to be watching it the other day, and I mean, it's a very violent, incredibly violent story. In the presentation of the cartoon is very true to the events. Like, there's one scene, spoilers, where the Joker is walking into a tunnel of love with a batarang stuck out of his eye socket, and he's shooting the civilians left and right. He then gets his neck broken by the Batman, and he then kills himself by breaking his own neck before setting himself on fire. So let this level of violence sink in. But the show the presentation had to make one significant change, is that Commissioner Gordon could not smoke cigars.
Okay,
so
he smoked cigars in the comics.
Yeah, he smoked in the Dark Knight Returns comic. He was repeatedly smoking cigars. They said, no, we can't. Children might watch this. We can't have him smoking cigars. Have him chew nicotine gum.
But we got to think of the children. He can't be smoking cigars, but the Joker can mow down civilians with a batarang lodged in his eye.
That's okay.
There's a scene where Batman's just watching. He literally pulls a knife out and stabs Batman in the chest like 7 or 8 times. Batman breaks his neck, and then a few minutes later, you see Joker's flaming skull with a batarang sticking out of the eye socket, and Batman's just covered in blood. And I'm like, maybe they didn't think this all the way through. Maybe
not.
The kid seeing that is fine, but if Commissioner Gordon's smoking a cigar, then that's a step too far.
Thank goodness they didn't see him smoking that cigar, because that would have been traumatic.
Lucky Strike, by the way, still very much in business.
Really?
Okay. They're based out of they're a British American brand, but they're still going.
My uncle, who's died years ago, but he was like my mom's older brother, but he smoked Lucky Strikes. I remember that.
Basically a sports show brought to you by Lucky Strike cigarettes and Tostino's pizza rolls.
They go great together. Take a drag with your left hand, eat a pizza roll with your right.
There you go.
Guaranteed to die by 35.
We are all about the healthy approach here.
That's right. Doctors recommend it for your daily caloric intake. The cup, by the way, this is really not interesting, but the NASCAR's cup, like their championship trophy or whatever, is now simply called the NASCAR Cup.
Yeah.
Aww.
I was really hoping there, because I've been Googling around trying to figure out, does it have a name? Does it have a branding? Because like you said, for a while it was the Nextel Cup, and then it was the Monster Energy Race for the Cup, and all this other bull crap.
Nextel, Sprint, Monster, and now it's not sponsored anymore.
It's just kind of.
I don't know. I feel like they should just bite the bullet and go with the perfect symbolic representation of their audience and just have like the Bud Light Cup.
I think so too, or like the Jack Daniels Cup, or
Jack Daniel, yeah.
The Joe Bob's Moonshine Cup, or something like that.
I mean, is there like a?
I love NASCAR. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making. I mean, I am making fun of it, but it's one of my favorite sports. So cut me some slack.
Or you could do if you really wanted to piss off everyone, this would be like a great pro wrestling move. In terms of building heat. Was it Jeff Gordon, who everyone hates?
Used to, yeah.
Sure, yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know, the Jeff Gordon Cup, and he can do like Hulk Hogan with the NWO belt, and he sprays his name on the cup.
If you want to go that route today, it would be the Kyle Busch Cup. Everybody fucking hates that guy.
Well, I was going to ask why, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
He's a really good driver, and he's kind of a jerk, and he's perfect for the sport. I mean, you need. I think every sport, like in wrestling or any other sport, really, you've got to have the heel to have the hero, is the way I look at it. And he's like the perfect NASCAR heel. So there you go.
I'm surprised they haven't named it after like Dale Earnhardt or Terry Labonte or
well, I think
it's
I don't know why they I don't know why they have trouble getting a sponsor for it, because every series below them has got a sponsor. Like the Xfinity series is like the AAA version of NASCAR. Camping World Truck Series. I don't understand why they can't seem to get one for the Cup, but I also think too that they're asking way too much money, and that's part of the problem. They don't have the clout that they had during the NASCAR fad of the early 2000s, late 90s, and that's just not there anymore.
No, that's never going to happen again.
No,
I tried to get into NASCAR around that time, just didn't stick.
I grew up on the shit, so I mean, I've got my dad to both blame and thank for it.
I mean, no, like legitimately, like I like auto racing, just that like F1's more my speed.
I like F1 too. I like Indy. I like all of it. I'll watch that stupid drag racing for fuck's sake. The races last like 3 seconds.
I'll watch the bus races that they put on ESPN 8 that one time. The European Bus Race Championships.
Man, we are way out in the weeds at this point. But
well, Mike, now that you're here, we were kind of waiting on to discuss the NHL playoff situation. So we
find our way back to
let's just trudge our way through this quagmire of random bullshit and cigarettes and NASCAR we've woven our way through.
God, I love this. We end up in places you would never even expect.
So the Bruins have moved on. The
goddamn Capitals, you useless turds.
Yeah, right?
You could do one thing. One thing.
They got swept, didn't they?
No, they won the first game. They teased us with competence, and then they.
We have 2 series, I think, if not 3, that are 2-2. Penguins and Isles, which they may be playing. They're playing tonight, I believe.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's currently up 1-0 with over a minute left in the first.
Are they really wearing those fucking yellow jerseys?
They are.
Oh,
I don't understand it. I don't know what
they are. It's not as bad as the Oilers Navy, but
I won't be seeing them anymore.
Mike, you got a big game going on right now. Game 3 of the Leafs Canadiens, and
yeah, it's tied 0-0. We've got just over 5 minutes left in the first. Right now. First game, obviously disappointing. Especially bad that John Tavares got a concussion, but the team really rebounded in game 2. So
how long is he going to be out, Mike, before we move on from him?
We have no idea. It's like indefinite. It's a concussion. So he's back when the protocol says he can be back, essentially.
Well, if it was the NFL, it'd be like later that day.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like Patrick Mahomes' foot fell off and his head was and his neck was almost broken, but no, he's fine to play. He's good.
Yeah.
It's just an upper body injury.
Yeah.
The most upper of the upper body, but yeah.
But yeah, so Toronto Montreal is currently scoreless. Toronto's response in game 2, they won 5-1. Without Tavares was a really big statement game. First time they've actually beat the Canadiens in the playoffs since 1967. So
Wow.
And that was also the last year that the Leafs won the cup. So, it's encouraging to see that they're breaking losing streaks that have existed since 1967. That's promising.
Well, let's ask the really important question here. How does that series look? I haven't seen any of it yet.
In terms of the uniforms, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I was going to say it has to be.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be perfect as we're going to get.
I mean, it's basically two of the most iconic uniforms in hockey, and you've got on top of all of that, both teams are just like, hey, we could wear some stupid bullshit, but how about we just wear our really good regular uniforms instead?
So tonight's in Montreal, right? So it's the red versus the white.
It's the red versus the white.
Ooh,
yes,
that's got to look good.
Which to me is the quintessential match. Like, if it was up to me, every single matchup between the Leafs and the Canadiens, regardless of where it was played, would be red versus white, because the red look, the red jersey with the blue stripe across the chest, is the quintessential Canadiens look. But to me, the quintessential Leafs look is actually the white, not the blue. If you look back at original six history, the Leafs tended to default to their white uniforms more often than their blue. They really only wore the blue ones, if they absolutely had to.
Well, see, I think the blue looks really good, but I'm with you. If I had said, okay, Leafs, you get to wear one, and I get to pick it, it's going to be white as often as possible.
The only thing I would change is I would go back to the blue yokes on the shoulders of the whites. The Leafs tend to alternate. Sometimes their white jerseys have just regular white shoulders. Sometimes they're blue. I tend to prefer the blue look, but the white looks good too. But that's just a personal preference of mine.
So if we reached our required amount of CCSLC talk to remain
the official
promote our show,
I dare say. I dare say it's probably the best looking series, in the playoffs.
No argument here.
Lightning Panthers looks good too, but they're basically the Leafs of the Canadiens.
Right.
So it's.
But yeah, so it's tied. This series is tied 1-1, right?
It's tied 1-1. Game 3's tonight. Montreal's currently on a power play, so we'll see what they can do with that. But it's been really cool, and it's been really cool watching the CBC feed for this game, for these games, because these two teams, and look, I don't want to diss the other Canadian teams. I love them all, but except Vancouver, they can go fuck themselves. But everyone else is cool. But the Leafs and the Canadiens mean so much just to Canada in general that it's really cool to sort of see CBC kind of go out of their way to go oh, hey, let's see how hockey fans across the country are reacting to this series. And
if you know anything at all about hockey, you've got to know what a big series this is.
This is
the Maple Leafs, or the Leafs and the Canadiens. I mean, come on.
It's the oldest rivalry in hockey. It goes back to the league's foundations. The teams are 1 and 2 in terms of most Stanley Cups won. The downside to it is that the Leafs since 1967 haven't won anything. So in that case, it's one of those things where it's as Leafs fans, we're all kind of pining after past greatness, but you know what? It's still important to us, damn it. So
there you go.
And by the way, speaking of which, since we are apparently the official board podcast, you can go to patreon.com/sportslogos. If you are if you're a member of the community, you can sign up for at least $7 a month or whatever you want to donate and become an ad-free member of the forum. So if you haven't done that yet, I highly recommend it. Completely different experience. I'm really glad that Chris got that set up finally.
It's been
many years.
The ad-free experience is really cool. So definitely.
What was the issue with the ads? I mean, it had to be because I rarely ever go on with my phone. I'm always like, if I'm going to be on the boards, I'm on my laptop 99% of the time.
You should have seen some screenshots. I mean, it was
screenshots. I mean, I know how bad it can get.
It's pretty impressive stuff. And I mean, it's a double-edged sword because obviously, you want the board to stay sustained and alive and been functional and everything, but at the same time, nobody's ever had to really foot the bill besides Chris. And so I'm sure Chris was like, well, screw you guys, I'm paying for this, and you can just deal with it. I think he's got a pretty fair amount of subscribers now, and I think I don't know how much. I've never asked or seen how much it would cost to maintain the board on an annual basis, but I'd hope that
with the number of members that we have, which is like I think close to 30,000 now. Jesus. I mean, I don't know how many of them are on there at the same time, but just the bandwidth alone's got to it can't be cheap. And all those concepts and all the stupid gifs and shit that we post and the pictures and
the sports fan fiction.
Shit. Okay, we got to find a way to add that to the. You can no longer see that. I'd pay $700 a month not to deal with that shit.
Well, we don't have to deal with that shit. Remember, we nuked it.
Yeah, but I mean, just to like completely nuke it out of existence, that would be funny. But but no, it's got to cost them quite a bit of money, and it really provides a great service. I've got to sign up myself, even though I don't have issues with the ads or anything. I feel like as a moderator and all that, I'm kind of like, okay, I really need to do this, even though I don't have an issue with all this stuff, but it just seems like the right thing to do to me.
I mean, if you spend any significant amount of time on this, I mean, I would say it's not that much, and we're not trying to sit here and shill for the sake of shilling. We've been on this board for over a decade, if not.
Oh my God! Between the three of us, it's like 50 years combined, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's something. If you enjoy it, you put in multiple hours a week on it, even if
I remember back before there even was a concept section.
Well, Mike, you're part of we did this one time with hockey.
Yeah,
you're part of the original 6. Andy and I are the 67 expansion with that's like the group that we belong to, and then I think it goes from there. But we did a whole thing about it.
Zach is the WHA merger.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, yeah, we don't want to digress too far into that either. But we do need to maintain our status as the newly crowned official podcast of the board.
We're raised. We'll put Chris's picture up in the Bass compound.
There you go.
On the wall.
Right. Yeah. Just a fearless leader underneath it.
Yeah. It's like how for the longest time the Winnipeg Jets had a portrait of the Queen in the arena.
There you go.
Yeah, it's sort of like that.
But no, but just to finish it up, I mean, if you take away those boards, you lose this show. You've lost the logo cast, which was gone years ago, but people did listen to it. You lose. There's lots of things that like really originated there, and
who knows how many design careers were like sculpted on that place,
Oh yeah, concept series that go back, again, we're talking like 03, if not earlier.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, just a lot of people, a lot of us, myself included. We spent a decent amount of time there, and it's important. So, definitely, there's always like, oh, you're just shilling, but like,
no,
I don't know. Like I've got, I'm paying for it, and it is a fantastic experience. Again, I get why Chris has the ads. I really do. But, when he was like, hey, if anyone wants to pay to, go ad free, that was a very easy thing for me to go like, okay, yep, here you go. Here's $7.
Some more examples of like the things that came out of there. My old TV station that I worked at for 10 years, our logo was created from those boards.
There's also, there's the Pro logo saga.
Tank.
Tank, Frank Fleming, Frank the Tank.
If you guys, for those of you that aren't board members but know who Frank Fleming or NJ Tank is on Twitter or via Barstool Sports, that was our creation too, folks. Just want to say
it was actually a really surreal thing when Bring Back the Vet pointed out that like if the mods hadn't banned Tank, like
None of
that
that
never
ever
would have happened to him, because
Nope.
like he would have been, instead of bitching to like a news reporter, so he would have bitched on the boards, right?
exactly.
And it's like, and so it's like we created Frank Fleming of Barstool Sports, and I had a like, what have we done moment, like.
Speaking, go ahead. No, I was going to transition. Go ahead.
I was just saying, it's surreal to me when I have like real life friends who know nothing about the CCSLC, like share like Frank stuff with me, and they go like, "Hey, look at this guy," and I'm like, "If only you knew."
Yeah,
If only.
we saw this like back when it was still a beta thing. It wasn't even like public release yet. We fully everything that he's done. It's like we've seen this 1,000 times, folks. It's not shocking.
Like to the point, like he was in the hospital again for like chicken or something. Like
for chicken, that'd be great if on his like medical sheet at the end of his bed, it just says chicken. Like, my God, this man is the most severe case of chicken I've ever seen.
Anyway, let's move on. We've paid our bills here.
Speaking of paying the price, the Edmonton Oilers are currently in the midst of paying the price for the hubris of wearing those Navy uniforms.
The hockey gods are not pleased and are punishing them.
3 goals
in 3
3
minutes.
goals in the third period. Yeah, 2 of them in 16 seconds.
2 of them in 16 seconds. 3 in 3 minutes. I was watching this game, and I kind of zoned out for a good bit of it because Edmonton was just kind of dominating. They were up 4-1 in the third, and then the Oilers took a stupid penalty, a very easily avoidable penalty, but they took it. Winnipeg scores on the power play, so now it's 4-2, and you kind of perk up and you go, maybe. And then they score again, and it's like, oh, look at this. And then not even 20 seconds later, Winnipeg scores again, got a tie game. Craziness. And, at that point, you just kind of go like, Winnipeg's winning this. You don't take it from me as a Leafs fan. You don't surrender a 3-goal lead and then come back to win. That's just not how it happens. Like,
oh yeah, and you know it. You can feel it when it's happening. You go, well,
you feel it when it's happening, and your only hope is that you get some like incredibly lucky bounce in overtime that goes your way. But if that doesn't happen, you're basically fucked, and the Oilers were fucked.
Yeah, hockey's a weird game, man. Like you kind of get that feeling in certain games, like if you ever hit like a patch of water in hydroplane for a second, or like you hit a little patch of ice and you kind of lose traction. That kind of sick feeling where it's like, here we go, they're gonna fuck this up. It's gonna be so good. And sure enough, I mean, it was. I'm passively, the Jets are kind of one of my top 3 in terms of my backup teams that I really like, and I'm glad they're trouncing because I said like they're my team justice, and I can't. I'm insulted that the Oilers trotted out those bullshit uniforms, and they're getting what they fucking deserve. And I know that people are saying, Connor McDavid needs a cup, and he, he's so good. It's like, yeah, he's fucking great, but I mean that's fine, but he's not. It can take a long time, and the Oilers, Navy. This is what you get. This is what you get for wearing Navy. And I know it's not done yet. They still got to lose one more game, but for all intents and purposes,
you're down 3-0. I mean, it happens more often in hockey, which is not to say it happens a lot than any other sport, but still, I especially when you. Look,
I really don't think the Winnipeg Jets are going to pull a San Jose Sharks here.
No, I was just going to say, and when you blow a game the way they blew it yesterday, that's hard to. You've got to overcome that and win 4 fucking straight games. I just don't see it. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's highly improbable at this point.
And they actually play tonight, so no day of rest, no chance for the Oilers to catch their breath. It's like, oh, you blew a 3-goal lead in the third. Congratulations, assholes! Like, play again tomorrow.
Yeah, have fun with that.
I don't know. I wanted to, because I know there's a few games in progress, and I wanted to give this some time. And it would be more fun if Zach was here, but alas, he's working. I wanted to try this stupid game.
Okay.
If you don't mind, the I'm trying to remember what it was. It was big yikes, yeet, or bussin' is the concept.
Big yikes, yeet, or okay. So this is how we get the kids listening.
Yes,
okay.
we're tapping into the youth with their slang, and they're just, they know exactly what's cool and what's not. And I figured, in order to get base listeners, we need to just use their words. And so I'm going to show you an image.
Okay, I already shared the screen. Are we ready?
I've got them ready here in a minute. Yeah. So
right.
basically, show you an image. Okay. So there's nothing on the screen now, but I'll show you an image, and you tell me whether it's bussin', which essentially means it's really cool, or yeet, where you just want to get it away from you, or big yikes, where it's embarrassing.
Okay. What was the first one? Bussin'?
Bustin'.
No, bussin'. It's bussin'.
Bussin'.
Or like the one guy said that one time, that fucks, will that count too or not?
Sure. So bussin', I think also this fucks works.
Okay, I'll go with bussin'. I just asking. Just wanted to make sure I had my get the vernacular down here before we start this.
Okay, here's image number 1. Miami Heat's yellow and black alternates they wore in the playoffs against the Milwaukee Bucks.
What are they? Okay, what's my middle?
Well, there's no real middle. So I mean, if you big yikes would mean it's embarrassing.
Big yikes. Big yikes.
Okay,
that's a big yikes.
Big yikes.
We're
I
losing.
don't know, what the fuck are they supposed to be?
I don't know why they're yellow and black. Is it their earned jersey?
Are they the Pittsburgh Heat? Is that what it is? What's going on here?
I don't know. I don't know why they didn't wear it, at least their Miami Vice alts. Anyway. So big yikes seems to be the consensus for this.
It's just ugly. And while we're looking at this picture, Paul Lucas's NBA uniform rankings can go get fucked.
Right alongside the NHL rankings and all the other stuff.
All the other ones.
I don't get this at all. I mean, I don't get the black and gold from any. Even if you threw in all the bullshit Nike speak, I still wouldn't understand it. I don't get where they're going with this.
Yeah, I thought there was some red in the mix.
No. Like if you look at the shorts, you can even see they've blacked out the logo.
Wait a minute, Zach's here?
Zach says hard. He's. I think he's listening. Hard yeet. He says.
Okay, we got a yeet. All right. So we've got the 3 big yikes and a yeet.
Okay.
For the
okay.
Number 2. This is the Winnipeg Jets in their triumph over the flailing Oilers. Bussin' to this, I say.
That's totally Fox. I'm sorry.
We're losing young listeners, are unsubscribing and just bailing on this show as quickly as possible.
That's bussin', man. That's bussin' for sure. Definitely.
Okay. And it's a big yikes for the Oilers and their potential hopes.
Well, they know what they did.
Yes. Number 3. This is the daylight debut of the Miami Marlins Sugar Kings alternates. They look good in the pictures. They photograph really well, but how do you think they looked in the middle of the day, in the middle of the game?
I'm going to go bussin' on that, even though it not quite as good as I'd hoped it would be, but I can't yeet it or big yikes it either. So I'm going to go bussin'.
I'd say bussin'. It's a bussin' uniform.
A reluctant bussin' from me. Yeah. I think it's.
You know what would help that a great deal is if they didn't do the matte helmets with that blue. You got to have the gloss there.
It doesn't work.
So much better. Yep, so much better.
All right, we're going to get a little bit out of sports here as we go. So this is Taylor Lewan, offensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans, at the Nashville Predators game, chugging a beer in one swig after a Predators goal.
Can I just say how angry I am that either the Predators or the Hurricanes have to win? Like, really?
I'm gonna go bussin' on this. Fuck that.
No, you know what? Big yikes.
Straight up hillbilly fucking poetry right there, folks.
Big yikes.
Taylor Lewan at a Preds game, a local NFL talent supporting a fellow city's team, shirtless and drunk. That to me, that's a bussin' move right there. Zach also chimes in here. The Marlins be bussin'.
Yeah, they was bussin'. I got to agree. I think so. I think the only problem with that, like I said, glossy helmet really just takes that to a new level.
Yeah, and I think they need to make sure those blues sync up there because I think it was a little bit. Maybe it was just the fact that it was matte that made it a little off. But Taylor Lewan,
you know what else? Too, I've got to say too. Back to the Marlins for a second, is that I really think that going all blue with the hats and the helmets would look so much better. So much better. All right, up next. What do we got?
Okay, number 5. I believe we're at Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan turned 80 today.
Bussin'.
Yikes!
Big yikes!
I hate Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan's amazing. Shut up, bussin'.
I'm going to go ahead and do a yeet. I don't give a shit about Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan, man.
Fucking most overrated fucking hack ever. I'm sorry. It's like, what do people see in this fucking guy?
Good music. I don't know. You know.
It's about need, man.
Like some of his stuff that other people have done. I will say this: he put out remember that album or the song that was the Apple commercial a few years ago? I don't know if you guys remember or not. That was okay, but I get like why he's Bob Dylan, but I don't quite get why he's Bob Dylan, if that makes any sense.
Gather around chitties, that is the song.
I love that song. Shut up.
It's a great song, but like Bob Dylan as a whole, I just don't.
Yikes, motherfucker, right on out of here.
I'm going to yeet. Zach says big yikes to 2 overtime Birds wins. So
okay.
All right, let's see where we're at here. Number 6. This is a delicious looking. I think it's a fajitas tray.
Oh, that's bussin'.
That totally fucks, man. That's bussin'.
That's bussin'. That looks. I just had dinner, and you know what? I could go for that.
You could take those tortillas and I'd eat that fucker straight up with a fork, just like out of a plate. Give me some, just like a meal.
Like a charcuterie board or whatever it is.
I don't need to bother with the tortillas. Just give me the rest of it.
We got some French fried onions, I think, is what we're going over here.
Some mushrooms in there, I'm pretty sure.
Some, guac. Fuck yeah. This is outstanding.
That's bussin'.
This is fucking amazing.
That'd be bussin' for sure.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not sure even what number
we
we're
can do this every week. I like this.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. So number 7. This is, let me see. It's from Instagram. The Little Debbie Cosmic Brownies cereal.
Oh.
Yeet.
Yeah, yeet. No. Yeet. I mean, which is worse, big yikes or yeet?
Well, yeet means you just don't want anything to do with it.
Yeet.
Okay.
Look. If this were zebra cakes, then that'd be bussin'.
Mike, I gotta say, I see where you're going with that, but I'm not so sure I agree with you on that one either.
Oh, come on, zebra cakes.
There's no question about it. But
Zach says fajitas. He wouldn't get in on that.
Zach, what is see? He does this shit when he's not here, and we can't beat him up for it.
God damn!
What is your problem, Zach?
Fajitas, man, fajitas.
And better yet, why aren't you working right now?
steak fajitas. I mean, Jesus.
I know.
You got that fajita life.
Oh, okay. Well, to each his own.
Well, number 8 looks like yes, the DiGiornut, which is going to be a pizza donut.
This is going to be big yikes for me.
I got it. Yeah.
What is this fucking abomination?
It's stuffed with mozzarella cheese.
Oh God, no!
I'm going to go ahead and give this a bussin'. I think it looks pretty tasty.
Okay, what flavor is the donut? Is it like normal donut, like say just your basic plain cake donut flavor?
I would imagine. I mean,
no.
It looks like, I think it's pizza dough.
Okay, that might be different. I'd have to know what it's. The one at the bottom here, what it's made out of is first.
Like this bottom one looks like a regular donut. These 3 look like they're maybe pizza dough. I don't know.
I don't like anything about this. This is a big yikes.
Okay. I gotta say, if that's like if it tastes like pizza crust, I'm gonna have to get on board and say that's bussin'.
Okay.
But
so it's all dependent upon what the donut is constructed out of.
Right? Yeah. If that's like a plain cake donut, no, big yikes. Absolutely, got to go away from that.
Okay, fair enough. And I think we got one more food one here.
Okay.
Let's see what we got here. The Krispy Kreme Donuts jelly beans.
I'm gonna go more. It's gonna be a yeet. Yeet.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a yeet. I love Krispy Kreme. Like I just had Krispy Kreme recently, very delicious. I'm okay about jelly beans for the most part, but these things don't need to be. I severely doubt they taste even similar to a Krispy Kreme.
And it's made worse by the fact that I have never really I like jelly beans. I don't like Jelly Belly jelly beans.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair assumption. Okay. And I think we got one more here. Yes. Yes, this is the Clown Victoria. What do you think,
Bussin'.
guys?
That's bussin', man.
Bussin'.
That's a big yikes for me. I can't.
If this show had an official car, that fucker would be it, right?
You mean it wouldn't be that Cleveland Browns car that you contemplated buying?
I never once contemplated. I mean, if I had this money to burn, I'd buy it as a goof. But fuck, that thing was stupid looking.
There's a clown.
It's a really nice sports car and made it a Browns helmet. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? This is cool. I like this. I'm gonna say that's awesome.
It's I mean, no, I'm still gonna give it a big yikes. But
all right,
yeah, there it is. There's the first ever edition of Big Yikes, Eat or Bussin'.
I look forward to more of these.
Sure. I think this should be a weekly feature.
Zach or LMU, he mentioned that in the Discord that he said we should call it "How do you do, fellow kids?" I do think that's not bad.
Hello, young people.
I imagine, Mike, that part of like what you do as a teacher is to just abuse the slang of young people.
Yes. Ruin it, make it awkward. Generally make it seem as uncool as possible because I don't know. We should all talk like adults. We should all talk like grown-ups.
I was telling Andy, Mike, before you got here that I was like hanging out in Toledo all week because a great friend of mine from California came back to visit. Anyway, we were at another friend's house, and I won't get anybody's names or anything because I don't want to, in case they're listening or whatever. But one of my friends had a son who's 17 years old. And I'd never met him before. And it was like, oh, you're going to love to meet him and blah, blah, blah. You know, the whole thing. He shows up. And my first thought is this dude's high as a motherfucker. He was so lit. It was hysterical. But I just said, when we were talking about language and stuff, I'm like, hi, nice to meet you. And I'm like, man, you were just really off in the clouds. But I just wanted to bring that up. I thought it was really kind of funny. And then after he leaves, his parents are like, so what do you think? And no, one of them goes, was he high? I'm like, oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, definitely.
There's I've had a few moments where I've been with family or usually older people that are in my family, in-laws or just my own family, to where it's like we're walking through a parking lot or something into a Menards, which I don't know. Do you have Menards, by the way, over there in Ohio, Greg?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Menards is fantastic. Anyway, I digress. We were walking into, I think, a Menards, and a car just kind of drove by in the parking lot, and I mean, it was announced very very loudly that oh yes, the person inside that vehicle is just pounding, just ripping joints and high as a motherfucker. And I kind of had to do a face check to look around and see who all recognized that scent, you know?
Yeah.
I was walking into work the other day, side story. And I work next to a hotel, and I was walking into the building. There's a few guys across the way, and I smelled weed, and I was like, what? It's like 7:45 in the morning, you know, it's early as hell. And I kind of look over to see these guys, and I mean, they're just smoking a fucking blunt on the side of this hotel. And one of the guys yells at me, he's like, "You smell that fucking weed, yeah?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, Jesus!" And he's like, he just started laughing. I mean, that guy has he's
wake and bake, man.
I guess, yeah, he's starting the day off the right way, I suppose.
Yeah, wake and bake. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was my little story, and you know. Weed just cracks me up. I don't smoke it, but I find it amusing.
Yeah. Speaking of, I mean, it has no connection whatsoever, I suppose. We're
the masters of non sequiturs around here.
I wanted to get your guys' opinions on. So Aaron Rodgers is not showing up for anything Packers. We kind of talked about Julio Jones maybe getting traded soon for a first. There's been some ludicrous packages that have been floated for how Denver could pry Rodgers away from Green Bay.
I mean, what the Packers seem to be asking is it's not worth it.
It's a little much. Yeah. I mean, what, Rodgers is 36 years old. Mm-hmm. He's clearly like, he wants to win right now, and he wants to have a little bit more say, or if not a lot more say, about the personnel. But I'm just enjoying this. You're
happy that the bad man might be going away.
Yeah. I imagine it's how a lot of teams felt in the AFC East after Tom Brady.
When Brady went to the. Well, honestly, I think Brady is to blame for all this, because you look at what Brady did, right? Like, Brady saw that the situation in New England was not going to get better. He was like, I still think I have, some good years left. I'm going to take my destiny into my own hands. I'm going to go to this team that I know, can be a contender, and I'm going to win on my own terms. And he did it. So now you see, Aaron Rodgers. I firmly believe that Aaron Rodgers saw what Tom Brady did, and he's like, why am I, sticking it out in Green Bay if they're not going to build around me? And he is taking the idea of, like, Tom Brady took his destiny into his own hands. He won a Super Bowl. Why can't I do that same thing?
And he's been studying up a lot on TB12 stuff. I think he's like trying to get in to the like football equivalent of DDP yoga and kind of add like a few more layers to his football career using the alchemy and evil witchcraft that TB12 employs. Greg, you are a part owner of the Green Bay Packers franchise.
Yes. Have you spoken to Aaron yet?
Yeah.
Have
you?
Give us the inside scoop.
My feeling is, I mean, I get his frustration, because that game last year against, who'd they play that they kicked the field goal? That wasn't the Bucs, was it?
No, it was the Bucs. It was the NFC title game. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, so that was some first class stupidity by the coaching staff. But I also look, dude, you're 35 at the time. They drafted a quarterback. It was obvious to anyone that knows anything about football that Jordan Love was not going to take your job away from you, period. And still you had a hissy fit over it because they didn't consult you first. So I'm pretty sure they didn't consult Brett Favre when they drafted your silly ass either. So get over it. So part of me is like, fuck this guy, whatever. Part of me is like the Packers should just go, you know what, either play for us or don't play at all, which I don't think he'd have a problem with that either. But I'm kind of torn on it, because part of me says, you know what, you signed the deal, you got to go play. But I also kind of understand why he's a little frustrated.
Well, so. I mean, I'm not sure what the Packers are doing, because I get the Packers kind of have the idea that if we're going to trade him, we want him, we want to get as much as we can. I get that, but at the same time, like, it seems like if this report about what the Broncos would have to give up to get him, for example, is in any way accurate, that the Packers are just making it as difficult as possible to move Aaron Rodgers. And I don't get the point of that. Like, he says he doesn't want to play for you. And like, we can get into whether or not he's justified in thinking the way that he is. The end of the day, he still doesn't want to play for him. Right. And this was what I was saying about, Deshaun Watson before we found out that Deshaun Watson was a garbage person. That, if you have a player who just doesn't want to play for you, the team doing this stupid, we believe that, they are on our team and we're going to go forward, is so dumb and nonsensical. It's not going to work out. If they don't want to play for you, they don't want to play for you, and pretending that that's not the case and expecting them to just report as business as usual is idiotic.
I think the Packers also believe that they can fix this, which I'm not so sure they can this time.
I don't think they can, because look, all right, I'm not necessarily taking Aaron Rodgers' side in all of this, but I believe that if they had any desire to fix this, or at least start the process of fixing this, they would have drafted a wide receiver in the first round of the draft, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So
it was kind of like almost a slap in the face when they took a cornerback.
Yeah.
this is what drives me nuts too. Like, what coaching staff out there thinks that it's so fucking like we're so great at what we do that we don't need an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes or whatever, where it's just like, no, we don't give a fuck what this guy thinks, even though he's a generational quarterback, blah, blah, blah. We're still, no, we don't care. We're going to draft Jordan Love, and we're going to draft who we want. It's like, I mean, look, I understand you don't want to hand the reins over to the quarterback and go, look, you make all these personnel decisions, but for fuck's sake.
Look, I'm not even necessarily saying that drafting Jordan Love was a mistake. Like you said, Greg, he was 35 at the time. At a certain point, even if you have a generational talent, you have to start thinking about the future. So I don't even think drafting Jordan Love was a problem. I think the problem goes back further than Jordan Love, because throughout his entire career as the Packers starting quarterback, they have, refused to draft a wide receiver, to help him out.
Well, they've totally wasted him, if you ask me.
And it's one of those cases where I think that if you change a few of those drafts of those draft classes for the Packers prior to Jordan Love, where, if they did draft some offensive, weaponry to help Rodgers, then the Jordan Love draft pick wouldn't have stung the way that it did. But when you're Aaron Rodgers and the team constantly refuses to use the draft to build around you, and then they go and draft your replacement, I can't understand why that would be a problem.
Yeah, I think that we've talked about it numerous times that they've kind of, the fact that he's only got one Super Bowl with the teams that they've had is kind of ridiculous.
Well, and what was that loss to the Bucks was like their third or fourth NFC Championship game loss since winning that Super Bowl. So they've had chances, but they've just blown it. And again, you're down. They were down by 8, and they kicked a field goal in the red zone.
With I think 4 minutes left or something like that. It was stupid.
Yeah, it was stupid. It's like you might as well it's like, okay, Mr. Brady, here's the ball back. Just kill us, please.
Right. Look, Tom Brady, even at whatever, he's like 58 years old now. It's still good enough to kill the clock for 4 minutes in an NFL title game. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying that Aaron Rodgers should have gotten there and won more Super Bowls, but he should have been to at least one or two more.
Well,
win or lose.
The thing is with it, I get why Aaron Rodgers is frustrated, and on top of that, I guess the best way to put it is that I think that I completely lost what I was going to say. But basically, okay. By all accounts, Aaron Rodgers does not want to be on the Green Bay Packers. So, if you're the Green Bay Packers, you can say all this bullshit about Aaron is our quarterback all you want. It's not true. You only have two options as the Green Bay Packers. You can either trade him and get something for him, and if you're going to do that, it's got to be a realistic offer. You can't just give us all of your offensive starters.
Yeah, give us everything that you have.
Yeah, it's got to be a realistic, proposition. So, if the Green Bay Packers, you either make a deal, a realistic deal, or you let him, or you force his hand and he just retires and then comes out of retirement and signs wherever he wants. And if he does the latter, if you force him to do the latter, then you've lost a generational talent and gotten nothing in return. So you can either lose Aaron Rodgers and get something back, or you can lose Aaron Rodgers and get nothing. And those are the choices that they have.
The other part you have to factor in is if he retires, I think that he voids his salary. I think
he does, but I don't think he needs the money. I think that's something he can afford to do.
But from the Packers standpoint, if they trade him, they would have to negotiate what portion of his contract they would be responsible for. Whereas if you get a quarterback off your books, Rodgers' cap hit's got to be huge. I imagine that would give them the leeway to maybe either sign somebody who's going to get cut this summer potentially. A guy like Cam Newton or something that could be, give him a little bit more flexibility. Because they have Blake Bortles now. They have Jordan Love. I think they just brought in somebody else too. I can't remember who. But I don't know. The Packers can go fuck themselves. They've been in quarterback heaven for 30 years now, and they can.
And you're ready. And you're ready for them to experience the hardship down with the rest of it.
It's not even that I'm ready. It's not about me being ready. It's about them deserving to suffer for a while.
You know, in my whole time of being an NFL fan, I can only remember like twice where a team just fell ass backwards into two great quarterbacks. It was the Packers after Favre, and they got Rodgers at whatever it was, at pick number 25 the year he drafted him.
Yeah.
And the other time was the 49ers, who had Montana and then Hall of Famer Steve Young on the bench.
What about the Colts? They went from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck.
Yeah, but there was a year in between.
That's true. That was true. But
the Colts, that's pretty good too, though. That's another good example, though, Mike. Is like that. They're very rare is where you go from Manning to Luck or Favre to Rodgers or Montana to Young. I mean, it just doesn't happen too often.
I mean, it's the Colts one came to mind, especially just because they've they had 1 year where they sucked, like they tanked.
Oh yeah,
completely. There was
Luck
no
luck. Remember, that was
right.
The saying. Yeah,
it was a bald and blatant tank.
It was like they went 1-15. They were like Chris Painter, I think, was their quarterback that year. Like
Curtis Painter.
Yeah,
Curtis Painter. Yeah,
superstar Curtis Painter. Yeah, that's right.
The fans were all in on it. They were cheering for them to lose because, again, like I imagine if the Packers come out this season without Rodgers and Jordan Love ends up being a piece of shit, and they're starting Blake Bortles by like week 6, there's going to be a lot of these little piece of shit Packers fans crying because it's like, I don't understand what it's like to not have a quarterback. This is bullshit. You got to trade everything to get blah blah blah. It's just,
right.
Just lay in this bed you've made and just let somebody else play for a while.
Andy's pulling a Bane from Batman. Like, victory has defeated you.
But you think about it, the Packers have not had a quarterback problem since when did Favre?
Since Favre came in,
94?
Maybe. 93? Yeah, I think 93, 94.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's almost what? 20 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and people said that, well, they were really shitty in the 80s. Like, well, that's great, but like the quarterback, this era of the quarterback, it's the most important position in sports. Not just football or the NFL. It's in all of this professional sports world. And you fuckers got both like 2 Hall of Famers, and you got
not only that. But on top of all of that, I'm gonna become an honorary Bears fan for a moment and just shit all over Brett Favre.
Sure, yeah. What an asshole.
Brett Favre, sure, Hall of Fame quarterback. Also, probably, in terms of being a team player, probably one of the shittest, options possible. This is the dude who. You would throw 4 picks in a playoff game. You're like, oh, he's the gunslinger. He's just having fun. And it's like, this dude is chasing his own goddamn glory, and he's costing his championship caliber teams like a shot at a Super Bowl. Brett Favre hung on for as long as he did because he desperately wanted to go out with one more Super Bowl. And ironically, that obsession is probably why he never got it, because he had some pretty good Packers teams, near the end of his stretch with that team, and almost yearly they'd get to the playoffs and he'd throw some dumbass pick that would cost them the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you remember, he took them to the Super Bowl. He won it in 96, and
he won it in 96, and then he lost it in 97 to the Broncos.
Yeah,
but and then you look at like when he was with Minnesota, the year the Saints won the Super Bowl, he threw that idiotic fucking interception.
Yeah, that interception that like a Pop Warner quarterback would know not to throw,
which was bad enough. But he had the room for the first down. It was like there was no one. He could have run for 7-8 yards without even a problem, gotten the first down, and who knows what happens. Maybe the Vikings go on to win their only Super Bowl at that point. But yeah, he was as frustrating as he was fun to watch. And it was just like, man, dude, you do some stupid shit.
And the thing that bothered me about it is that he was like, Brett Favre was such a talented player that you didn't need to embellish shit to make him, like, if you just, like, as a journalist, if you just covered Brett Favre objectively, right, he would come off still very well because he was a great player. But it bothered me how there was sort of this sense in the media that it's like, oh, Brett Favre can do no wrong. Even when he fucks up, we have to like kiss his ass. And I don't know. It was very frustrating, and it made the fact that, you know, his career ended on such a whimper. To me, maybe this is petty of me, but you know what? Brett Favre's a millionaire, so fuck it. You know, he still did all right for himself.
No, well, he's apparently not having such a good time.
Well, oh yeah, he owes the state of Mississippi some cash. Last I heard.
Yeah, so he owes. He owes over $1.1 million to Mississippi for work he reportedly never performed. It was welfare or something like that, and he's still short $500,000.
He's still short $500,000. Let me do this. Zach post credit. Brett Favre is a football player because he's good at football.
Thank you.
But not all is lost.
It's weird seeing Zach in like the chat. It's like, what is going on here?
The bizarro world. But you know, the Packers will probably find a way through this. The Patriots have already found their way through this because
have they though?
Look no further. This is from Patriots News 24/7 coverage.
Oh no!
Patriots.
Oh boy, this ought to be great.
Patriots quarterback Mac Jones is having an amazing rookie camp per a source.
Oh, sure he is. Fuck
coaches. What's the source exactly?
I don't know. I don't know. Coaches and teammates have been blown away at his leadership, knowledge, accuracy, film study, and decision making.
You know what this sounds like? This sounds like when North Korea launches a missile that crashes down to Earth immediately, and the successful missile launch terrified the great Satan that is America.
Right.
Like, that's what this sounds like. Okay, I watched the first round of the draft. I saw Mac Jones get drafted, you know, far lower than he thought he'd go, and then say, this is the team I wanted to be with all along. You know, I'm playing for the best football team in the world. Like, go fuck yourself, kid. Like, this...
Source, Mrs. Jones.
I said it was him, but I like Dennis's answer better. That's funny.
I legitimately hope that by week 5, Bill Belichick is berating him on the sidelines, going, "Why aren't you Tom?"
First off, I can't remember how many quarterbacks I've heard about in minicamp where they go, "Man, his leadership and the film work and the blah 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 and the whole thing," and you never hear of them again. It's like, remember that guy that was really good in minicamp back in May or whatever happened to that dude? I'm not buying into an Alabama quarterback. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that he won't be good, but I'm saying he won't be good. I'm sorry. It's just the way it's going to be. When you're playing on an all-star team every week, yeah, it's a little easier to be a good quarterback. I want to see what he does when he's got nobody to throw to, real big NFL linemen and linebackers and safeties chasing his ass around. Let's see what he's made of. I'm not buying into it. I'm just not. Sorry.
Well, hold on. So Julian Edelman, he's retired now, Patriot. Here. He mentioned, I can't remember the context of where he told us to be in an interview or something like that. But here's what he said about his advice to Mac Jones as a Patriot. He said, quote, "This is going to irritate you." He said, "This town is tough. This town is mean. This town is blue collar. Boston people, the New England people, they want winning. They're used to that in all sports. This kid is going to have a lot of pressure."
Fuck off.
This is a guy from fucking Redwood City, California, which is income is 92% higher than the national average. Maybe Zach could illuminate if Julian Edelman was like raised in a fucking mansion in Giant Estate somewhere in a winery in California, talking about Boston blue collar. Fuck you.
Well, first off, let's be honest. They're not playing in Boston. They're playing in Foxborough. So there's that. I don't know. You know what? More power to him. I hope he has a great career. But if I'm you all out there, I wouldn't be putting any money on it. Just saying.
I mean, I'm sure he'll be fine. I had nothing against Mac Jones. I think the Patriots, again, they're just another team that's due to kind of live in the middle for a while, you know.
It's their turn on the wheel of misery for a while.
And just, you know, I think it's quite interesting, you know. It's only been a year since the split happened, but Tom Brady seemed to do just fine for himself without Bill Belichick. So
yes, look, they were talking about Brady, but there's no denying that he won a 7th Super Bowl with a different team, and that was like the one thing that Peyton Manning could always rely on was like, well, I did it with 2 teams and Brady didn't. Now you can't even say that.
Well, the whole point I was making is that I think Brady has proven that he's not a system quarterback.
Right.
Right?
I would agree with that. Real quick though, like with Rodgers, so okay, he's going to go somewhere. Where do you guys think the best landing spot for him is? Let's forget the trade offer. Just what team would he fit the best right now?
Honestly, okay. I think I've got 2 answers. One is like, what team would he be happiest on versus what team would actually be the best fit for him.
Okay.
I think he'd be happiest on the Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland.
All right.
He's listed that as one of the teams that he wants to be traded to. John Gruden loves himself as quarterbacks, and so I think John Gruden is the kind of guy who would go like, if the Raiders got Aaron Rodgers, he would go like, "Hey, Aaron, like, do whatever the hell you want." And so I think that, that situation, like, that's probably not going to lead to as many, as much winning, because I do think there's something to be said for, you don't want to give one player like all of the control. So I don't think that would be the best, but I do think it's where Aaron Rodgers would probably be the most happy, at least at first, because Gruden would suck his cock and everyone would love him. But I
listen
think,
here, man, Spider 2Y banana. That you know what that means. Make me the wild.
But I think the team that is the best fit for him is actually San Francisco.
I was just gonna say 49ers. I think is where to me, I feel like they could probably, because you would get Garoppolo back in a deal. Not that they need more quarterbacks, but I feel like if you have either Garoppolo as either your backup or your starter over Love, then it'd be a tolerable existence while you figure your shit out, or you wait a year to get another quarterback. Not that I hope they do, but I feel like that would be kind of a weird and nice circular way for Rodgers to kind of end his career back in the team that probably should have drafted him all those years ago, number 1. Plus, he's from out there, So I think it would.
He's from out there. He's from out there, and he's got and they got Kyle Shanahan as a coach, who has a very modern, offensively minded perspective, and so I think that if Aaron Rodgers wants to, win now with an offense that will be built around him, with an offense that can compete in today's NFL, I think Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers are probably his best bet. I don't know if he would want necessarily to go there, or if the 49ers have any desire to pick him up, but I do think that that's probably the best pick for him. If he goes to the one that a lot of people have been saying is Denver, right? Denver is the one a lot of people have been talking about.
Right.
I don't think Denver will be good for him. We saw what happened with Joe Flacco when he went to the Broncos. I think the Broncos are honestly, I think the Broncos are currently a brain dead franchise, and not that I think Aaron Rodgers is cooked. I think Aaron Rodgers still has a lot left in the tank, but I think the Broncos are the wrong team to try to bring that out.
Totally agree.
They've got Vic Fangio, for God's sakes, their coach. They've got John Elway running the thing. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I think Aaron Rodgers going to Denver would be like a slow death.
I think if you put him on the 49ers, they become the NFC favorites for the Super Bowl, because you got to remember the talent that team has. They were injured to all fuck last year. Mm-hmm. They're just a year off a Super Bowl appearance, right? Yeah. So if they're healthy and you put Aaron Rodgers behind center, I think they're the favorite at that. I mean, who's better? Based on what now, again, we're talking about a team that was good 2 years ago, so things can change a lot and quickly in the NFL. But based on that, if they come back healthy and are as good as they were before they had that shit, injury year last year, who's better than they are with Rodgers at quarterback? I don't know in the NFC.
I guess Bill Barnwell proposed a 3-team trade that would have the Rodgers would be going to the Dolphins, and Tagovailoa would go to Pittsburgh as a replacement for Roethlisberger eventually, and then the Steelers would. There's basically just a lot of picks and stuff going back and forth, but essentially that's how it worked. Is that the Dolphins would end up with Rodgers and Tua would go to the Steelers. So I don't know.
That'd be an interesting move too. Miami would be an interesting spot for him to land.
Well, you also have to factor in when it comes to the 49ers trade is that the 49ers already made a giant offer for the Packers for Rodgers, if you recall, and I'm guessing that offer's been probably yanked off the table. So who knows? But there you go. That's fuck Aaron Rodgers and the Packers can kiss my ass. That's a good way to wrap that up.
We all know that my Cleveland Browns are winning the Super Bowl next year anyway, because all the guys they drafted, we got an A+ in the draft, and that's all that matters. Because as you know, every time you get an A+ in the draft, that means you win a Super Bowl 3 years later.
Interestingly, Julian Edelman's father was a mechanic.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay, blue collar guy. I kind of like that. He's a blue collar guy just like me. I can't read.
Well, he's a blue collar guy just like me, even though he's a millionaire football player.
I feel like I could have a beer with this guy.
Well, I mean that's the thing. That's the thing that I always find laughable, be it with this Julian Edelman quote or just any time a fan base describes itself as blue collar. It's like, oh, this team's a blue collar team. This city's a blue collar city. It's like the team of professional athletes who, each of them makes over $1 million is not a blue collar team. It just isn't. And it's a tired, stupid cliche, and it needs to stop.
It doesn't really make sense anymore.
For multiple reasons. Not only that, but to make the assumption that every blue collar person is a sports fan is kind of ridiculous too. I know lots of blue collar people that couldn't give a fuck about sports, and lots of white collar people that know more about it than we do.
Well, I was just gonna say, between the players who are millionaires and the tickets that are being priced out of actual blue collar people's means. You've got the players are millionaires. Everyone in the stands is at least a white collar person. What is blue collar about pro sports these days? Like nothing.
Not much.
These blue collar the majority of these blue collar jobs don't ever exist. It's not like you got the union workers from the plant coming down to root for the teams on Sundays.
Not unless they're coming in from Mexico.
They're not flying in. They're not like dropping the factories from China onto the next in the parking lot. These are just people who like basically sacrifice part of their kids' college educations to come watch a fucking football game from way back in the seats, and like there's no it's this really lame, like you said, cliche and sense of identity that needs to be really rethought of. And I like it. It adds it adds a sense of identity to a city, but I don't know. It's like the whole thing when you're going down to play the Dolphins. Like these guys down there in Miami, they're soft. They don't know how to play in the cold. They have these really like haughty-taughty, nice facilities. But we're from New York or Chicago. We just kind of we work out in the trash cans and the junkyards and the dumpsters, and we're hot.
That's not even true anymore. Like the Buffalo Bills have like a state-of-the-art training facility. Like
everybody does.
It's not like if you play for the Bills or the Browns, you're like out back behind the stadium lifting trash cans or something.
We have training camp at the old factory site.
It's not like they send Baker Mayfield down to the steel plant in the off season to stay in shape. Like it doesn't matter. Even if you're in like the blue collar city like Chicago or Cleveland, like if you're a millionaire athlete, you've got state-of-the-art facilities. They don't know how to play in the cold. You're not training in the cold. You're training in a climate-controlled, dome. Right. And you only have to go in the cold, for game day.
Well, let me tell you about the blue-collar Cleveland Browns and their training facility, okay? It's located in affluent Berea, Ohio, next to a university. It's I've been there 3 or 4 times. It's state of the art. There's not a fucking thing blue collar about it. It's really, really nice. And like I said, it's in the middle of I'm trying to think of a comparable suburb, but ain't nothing blue collar about where the Browns train. Nothing.
There is only one legitimate blue collar team left in the NFL, I think. And that is the Las Vegas Raiders. And the only reason I would call them a legitimate blue-collar team is because I legitimately think all of their fans are, like, insane knife-wielding psychopaths. And
not anymore.
That kind of stretches across class divides. So
there you go.
I feel like a lot of NFL like players and stuff who like are put on a platform to like Julian Edelman. What do you think about the Patriots situation? You played in New England a long time, and what can you tell us about the people? They almost have to visualize like what they think of like a Boston person looks like, and I think they imagine just like
Bill Burr,
an uneducated oaf in a factory where there's sparks and this kind of
wearing a socks hat.
Right.
Just to take that a step further, though, if you guys, I could be completely wrong about this, but I see like videos of factories and stuff. It doesn't look like the typical moron could run most of that shit. It looks pretty high tech.
No, especially the way like it's like, has anyone been in a factory today? Like, it's all pretty high tech, people. It's not even people wearing, the blue collar shirts with their name tags on them. Like people, it's like, they're in like special gear to run the machines because it's all really complicated. And it's like, what does blue collar even mean? Like when you say blue collar, like what jobs do these people have? Because it seems that, if you're in an industrial job, it seems like it's not like the 1950s anymore.
It ain't the scene from Rudy where they're like in the steel plant, like burning shit. And,
like now
the molten
it's like now you gotta have like a master's in chemistry or some shit to understand what you're doing. Like,
it's not exactly the Teamsters coming out here.
Yeah, it's like when people, it's like, oh, this is a blue collar fan base. It's like, what year do you think it is right now?
Exactly. Right. If it's like you guys said, if you're talking about the union jobs, those are all in China and Mexico.
God bless the Bills for keeping it real. And they're like, you know what? We may have the nice jobs now. We may be white collar computer people, but by God, we're gonna jump off of our vans.
We're gonna get piss ass drunk.
We're gonna get drunk for everyone. And we're gonna root for losers.
I'm sorry. I'm
gonna sit there in the fucking cold at negative 54 Celsius. Watching the Bills lose, and then we're going to jump off more tables. So
I'm just not buying that the guy making $44 an hour at the fucking Ford plant that's still in America is a blue collar guy. I can't.
No, that dude's living pretty comfortably, all things considered. So
right, and he's not some illiterate idiot.
No, he's probably like he's probably a fan of craft beer or some shit. Like, right. I don't know.
He's the last guy that you would think like, well, this is our guy, and this guy would be like, I don't even like football. I don't know. Anyway,
he runs a photography blog or something.
Right. Well, all right, we got anything else, boys, or we want
to? Just a quick update on some scores.
There we go.
Pittsburgh is currently leading the Islanders 2-1. Toronto is currently leading Montreal 2-1, and Tampa is leading Florida 1-0 in their quest to kill off all that's good in the world.
Come on, Panthers! Come on.
I think that's the only thing I have. I had the Leafs coming out of the one of the Scotiabank.
You better include that sponsorship. They paid for that. So
I think the Blues and the Caps both gone already.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do we have left?
Well,
that's it.
Yeah.
There was one other division. What was the other one? There's
the
right?
West. The
No,
South.
the
Central. The Central. So we've got the Panthers, the Lightning,
Panthers are my last
and then the Hurricanes and Birds are left in the Central.
I have the Panthers coming out of that one, and the Leafs, and
the Panthers can still make it go. They're down 3-1, but if they can pull out a victory here, they're only down 3-2, and it's still doable. But they're currently losing, so they've got to man up and make it happen.
Oh, imagine the surprise of all the listeners that my hockey predictions didn't quite turn out right. Well,
I mean, you got the Blues winning the Stanley Cup right that one time.
Well, you know what? You keep doing something for 9 years and without fail, it's bound to happen eventually. I don't know how it did, but it did. Anyway, if we're done, I'm going to wrap it up here. We will we'll have Zach back. Or wait a minute, are we going to do a show next week? It's Memorial Day. I don't know if you guys want to or.
I'll be around probably.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we'll discuss it off air and figure it out. And if we're back next week, we'll see you next week. And if not, well, we'll see you the week after that. But until then, as Andy said, join the Discord. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and wherever fine podcasting is sold. We will see you next time.
Go Leafs, go.
Yeah, go Leafs.